Hello, and good to see you. Choosing for today's show, episode number 18. And yeah, good to have you here. So, what is self-kindness and where do I find it? That is today's title of the show. So, there we go. What is self-kindness? You know, because I don't know about you, but growing up, I was told so much about how I needed to be kind to others and think about others and, you know, be respectful to others. And, you know, is that really a kind thing to do? You know, when you're in nursery, like, you know, and as a little kid, you're in nursery and you go and you take back the toy that you wanted to play with, and a nursery teacher might come up to you and say, "Now, Niki, was that a kind thing to do?" But that nursery teacher hadn't seen the kid previously grab that toy off you that you'd originally been playing with, and then they'd gone off, and it was only when you were going back and reclaiming your toy in the first place that the nursery teacher saw it, and you got into trouble for it. So yeah, so what is self-kindness? You know, because there's so much. Tanya, hey. there's so I was supposed to send out notifications to let everyone know that I was live, and I could not remember how to do it, so I'm terribly sorry. I thought I had it all set up last night, and turns out I was wrong. Hey, Christine. Yeah, so there's so much projections, expectations, there's so much gunk like piled onto the word kindness, and so much judgment, like particularly growing up through the years. You know, from a child, you know, we're taught to be kind to others, and yet we're never taught self-kindness. So that's what today is all about. What is self-kindness and where do I find it? It's all very well, you know, saying, oh, it's all right to be kind to yourself and self-kindness is important. But like, okay, well, how? And, you know, what does that involve, and what? So if you've got any questions or comments, please put them in the I would love to hear them. If you've got any stuff around self-kindness that, you know, like you were told as a kid or whatever, that's like really yuck, and you'd like to share it, then that'd be fun as well. Yeah, so what is self-kindness? So we maybe more one of the ways to look at this is to recognize all the places where we've not been kind to ourselves, or just general unkindness. You know, it's often much easier to see and recognize and receive the negative polarity than it is the positive polarity. So we all know what unkindness looks like, what unkindness feels like, and sometimes, you know, when I say that, like I was saying about the story of me as in nursery, you know, where a nursery teacher came up saying, "Now, Niki, is that really kind?" So basically they were accusing me of being unkind by taking the toy from the other child. So sometimes unkindness is misidentified and misapplied as well. So let's just like everything, take a big scoop of all that yucky energy and whisk it away with the clearing statement from Access Consciousness, which goes right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. And if you've never heard that before and you'd like to find out more about it, go to theclearingstatement.com. But for now, just know that it's like a magic wand to clear away yucky energies. So yeah, So we all know what unkindness is, what meanness is. Hey, Josephine, good to see you. So an example of being mean to yourself is like you drop something and you say, "Oh God, Niki, you're so clumsy. How could you do that? Oh, Niki, you're such an idiot. How could you do that?" That's pretty unkind. So that's unkindness to self. And all those cases where you're like, and this was used to be a big thing for me. I'd always be late for everything, which a little bit late for this today, so yeah, how does it get any better than that? So yeah, I'd always be running late, and all the time I was getting ready where I knew I'd be late. I'd be like, "Oh God, you're always late. You're such a terrible person for being late." All this like constant going off in my head. "Oh my God, if you pick that, you're going to be even more late. Oh, Niki, you know you shouldn't be late, and you said you promised you wouldn't be late again, and now you're going to be late." All that, yuck, like the Pac-Man. Yuckiness, like chewing you up inside. All that, it's like so unkind. And one of the things that I did to change that unkindness around, and that could go on for, with me being late, because I could be like, I was typically half an hour late to an hour late. So that would be going on for at least half an hour, if not more, like an hour plus, like constantly, how awful a person I was because I was running late. And then I would like criticize everything, like say I was getting dressed and getting ready to go, criticize everything, pick up something to wear, like, oh, I'd constant criticism, constant nasty criticism and nasty voices. That is unkindness to self. So how do you turn it around, and how do you turn around that unkindness and change it to kindness for yourself? And why is that a valuable thing to do? Two things there. Okay, so so what is self-kindness and why does it matter? So that was the first thing I was going to talk about. So that's what self-unkindness is, what I just described about that horrible voice. And so what is self-kindness? So it might be something different for you. So for each one of us, it could be something different. So what is self-kindness for you? And that's a question that you could just ask yourself and allow the energy of, and breathe. So truth, what is self-kindness for me? And then just allow that question out and allow the energy of that to trickle back to you. At any time. It could be immediate, it could be like much later in the day, it could be much later in the week, or even further. Just keep asking. Okay, so especially when you have habitual unkindness to self. And unkindness to self also includes taking on all the rotten things that other people say about you. It's similar to what I was saying about the voices that in my head, about stuff like, oh, that doesn't suit you, when it's coming from other people. Oh, you're always late. Oh, that makes you a terrible person for always being late. Coming from other people. Is that kind? And so whatever they're doing, the unkindness is when you take that in and stick yourself with it, with what their words, whether they were, however they were intended, whether they were thinking they were trying to help you improve or whatever. I remember one of our neighbours, when my kids were little, we had a gorgeous girl who used to babysit for us, and she was such a lovely, bubbly person. And hey, Lizzie, if you're watching, We were so grateful for you. And yeah, she was a lovely, bubbly person, fabulous with the kids. And one of the neighbours, the other neighbours that used to we'd all be like hang out together as neighbours with kids and stuff like that. They used to say to her constantly, "Oh, you're too fat. Oh, you're too fat. You're too fat." And I'd be like, "Don't say that to her." And she said, "Well, somebody's got to tell her." It's like, no, they don't. And who made you the decider of like what is too fat, what is wrong, what is right? Who made you the judge and jury? And that kind of thing's really unkind, and yet some people justify themselves saying it by saying, well, I'm only doing it to help you, I'm only saying it so you can improve. And sometimes I've had that with clients as well. Their negative self-talk, their unkindness to themselves, they justify it by saying, well, if I don't talk to myself like this, then everything will just go to pot and I'll never do anything. And is that really true? So Tanya's saying, I have it over sorting things out on the computer. Ah, yes, technology. Yeah, now that is a huge one that a lot of us used to beat ourselves up with. It's like, oh, I'm so stupid. I can't get this computer's work. Oh, I've forgotten the password again. Oh, all that unkindness. And that's unkindness to unkindness, and it's also unkind to the technology, to the computer as well. I remember when I was first doing Access, I think I've been doing it less than a year, and I'd meet on Zoom with an Access friend, and she like done a lot more Access consciousness. The tools that I'm sharing, I often reference and share in these classes, in these shows. And we used to meet on Zoom, and Zoom was new to me back then, about 5 years ago. And I get really frustrated with the technology, and I was messing it up, and I'd be like, oh, bloody Zoom, blah, blah, blah. And she said, okay, so what about all that unkindness you're doing to the computer? And all, the unkindness that you're doing to yourself. So we did a load of clearing. We said the clearing statement around all of that. So let's just do that now. All the unkindness that we have done to ourselves. Let's destroy and uncreate all of that times a godzillion. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And all the unkindness that we have perpetrated onto technology, computers and phones. Let's now destroy and uncreate all of that times a godzillion. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And I'm halfway through this half-hour show, and it's supposed to be about kindness, and yet I've spent most of it talking about unkindness. How pertinent is that? I mean, how much easier is it for us to receive unkindness than it is to be and receive kindness? And that's actually making me feel physically quite sick. So it's the energy that I'm picking up from everyone who's watching now and people watching in the future. So everything that huge energy about, oh, it's okay to be unkind, and the unkindness and all of that. Let's destroy and uncreate all of that times a godzillion. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. That's a strong old energy. Ooh. And everywhere you have, goodness, sorry about this. Everywhere that you have brought unkindness to self as a form of love, will you now revoke, recant, renounce, denounce, destroy and uncreate all of that times a godzillion? Thank you. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Oh my goodness. So, unkindness is a form of love. How does it get any better than that? And everywhere you've brought unkindness as the proper way of doing things, unkindness as a way of being kind. Oh my goodness. Unkindness as the only way of getting things done. Will you now destroy and uncreate at all times a Godzivian, right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. So I'm going to do something which is like massive in access consciousness tools at the moment. It's a fabulous tool, and if you've got any questions about it, you don't need to know the details, but if you've got any questions about it, then just put them in the comments, or it's called fracking. So it's very, very simple. What you do is you frack the insanity of things. So I'd like to frack the insanity of unkindness, especially unkindness to self. And there's so much energy on it. Whew. So what fracking is about, in this reality, fracking, they break apart the earth to allow the oil to seep up to the surface. So what we do with fracking as the access consciousness tool is we break apart the insanity to allow the beautiful energies and consciousness to rise up. So yeah, I'm feeling quite tearful too, Tanya. It's like so much emotion and energy on this unkindness and unkindness to self. So let's frack it on 3. I just go 1, 2, 3, and then you go frack, and we frack the insanity of unkindness, especially unkindness to self. 1, 2, 3, frack it, frack it, frack it, frack it, frack the unkindness, frack the unkindness, frack the unkindness to self, frack it, frack it, frack it, frack it, frack the insanity of unkindness. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, popcorn, on shorts, boys and beyonds. Okay, cool. So that's made me quite dizzy. So wow, a lot of energy on these. So what is self-kindness? What is self-kindness? So basically it's the opposite of that. So I mean, self-kindness is as I said, ask what it is for you. So self-kindness could be lots of things, and it could be like tiny, tiny, tiny fucking little things, and it could be massive things. So allow them all, allow them all, allow them all. Thank you. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. So self-kindness could simply be noticing when that yucky, naggy, you're such a yuckiness voice is going on in your head, noticing it. And in noticing it, you change it. As I feel like I'm saying this all the time, but get in the knack with Niki. Notice, acknowledge, and choose. So knack, N-A-C, notice, acknowledge, choose, get in the knack. So that is the first step to self-kindness. Just notice when there's any self-unkindness or any unkindness directed at you, that whether you buy it as real and true or not. So notice, and then you acknowledge that it's there, and then you can choose to block it off, to stop it. You have control. You have control. And if it's often these yucky voices in our heads, often they're not even our voices. So notice, acknowledge it, choose. So one way of choosing would be to ask the question, truth, is that even mine? Is that mine? And if that lightens up for you at all, is that judgment, is that voice, is that, oh, you're so terrible for being late, is that mine? And if it gets any lighter, then it's an indication it's not even yours, so you can return to sender with consciousness attached. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. So basically, self-kindness starts with stopping the unkindness. Stopping the unkindness. Stopping you're being unkind to yourself. And self-kindness could be things like then changing that and asking questions. It's like, Okay, so what kindness can I be for me right now? That's a fabulous question that you could ask. And if I were choosing kindness for me right now, what would that look like? What would that be like? And what would that create? So the other thing of the what is self-kindness and why does it matter? Why does it matter if you're being mean to yourself or really unkind to yourself? Why does it matter if you're being kind to yourself or unkind to yourself? Why does it fucking matter? So for a start, it matters to you. I know it matters to me. I notice a huge difference in my day, in my experience of life, from when I used to be like so unkind to myself all the time. And now it's like I'm more in allowance of myself. And allowance is a huge, huge thing. And allowance for you is part of self-kindness. So for a start, it makes a difference to you and your experience if you are being kind to yourself or mean to yourself. And so why does that matter to other people, and how is that a gift to the world? So just get a sense now of like somebody you know who has a very, very critical voice. So if they're outwardly very critical to other people, the chances are that their inner critic, their inner voice is like intensely critical to them. Or even if their inner voice is just a fraction of the critic that comes out that you hear, then you know, just get a sense of someone that you know either personally. I'm sure you know plenty. I'm sure there are plenty of people for all of us to choose from throughout our lives, of people who stand out as being very critical. So just get a sense of them for a moment. So that intensely critical person, are they happy, or were they happy if there's someone you remember from your childhood? Were they a person who was just full of light and happiness and joyfulness, even though they were really, really critical? Chances are that's a big fat no. The chances are the critical person was one of the most miserable, meanest, unhappiest people that you knew. That's been my experience, and so that alone is, I mean, you know, their criticalness is making them miserable and perpetrating that misery out into the world. And yet when you are more kinder to yourself, you're not critical, you're not mean, you're not unkind to yourself. When you practice self-kindness, then does that make you more miserable? Does that make you a happier person and more fun to be around? Or does that make you more yucky? It makes you a happier person and more fun to be around and less critical of others. Because when we can learn self-kindness, then that shines out from us through every part of our being, through every pore of our body, through every action that we take. And it is a gift in the world. You think of people who are really nice and really friendly and genuinely a joy to be around. Do they beat themselves up constantly? Are they really mean to themselves? I'm guessing it's a no. So that is why it's why does it matter? I'm looking at my notes there. That's why it matters. When you are kind to you, when you are willing to practice self-kindness, then you have experience of what it's like to be and receive kindness, and you become that kindness in the world. Because if we're not willing to receive something, if we're like, no, I'm only going to be kind to other people, I have to be really mean to myself, how's that going to work? How authentic is that supposed kindness if you're only being kind to other people, but you refuse to receive kindness from other people? It's like, no, I've got to be kind to everybody, but I can't be kind to everybody except me. I've got to be kind to everybody in the world except me. So that's where I used to function from, and it really didn't work very well. Even when, you know, I try so hard to be so kind to everybody else, and it never worked out, and they never really received it. Because how could they receive it? Because I couldn't receive kindness from myself. So those are all the reasons that I've come up with so far for why it's valuable, so much more valuable, for you to practice self-kindness. And if you think of how many years the practice has been self-unkindness, be gentle with yourself as you learn to be kind to yourself. It is a practice, and thank you for all the lovely hearts. They're gorgeous. It is it's a new way of, it's like learning a new habit. The more you practice it, the more you will become it, and the more you become self-kindness, the more of a gift you be in the world. So I would love to hear your experiences of this, and your thoughts and stuff that you know, anything that you'd like to comment or questions around it. So my other thing was, what's the difference between self-kind and selfish? Now that's something that a lot of people say, oh no, that's being selfish. Self-kind is being selfish. So everything you've misidentified and misapplied as self-kindness as being selfish, will you now destroy and uncreate at all times? A gazillion. Thank you. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pock, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. And labeling people as selfish is a you know, when other people label you as being selfish, that is a huge manipulation. And often, remember the thing of, often other people accuse you of what they themselves are doing. So have that in your awareness. And just because somebody else accuses you of something or says, oh, you're doing that, it doesn't mean that you're actually doing it or being it. You trust you. Other people coming from with their own agendas, and so they're interacting with you from their skewed point of view of like how the world looks from their point of view. So yeah, don't buy other people's stuff as real and true. Be in your awareness, and you can ask yourself questions. You know, you can ask, okay, is this, am I being selfish here, or am I practicing self-kindness? And is the accusation of selfish simply a manipulation that other people like to use just to make you try to make you do what they want you to do? And it's a great manipulation. I mean, I used to get triggered by, you know, if someone called me selfish, and I'd be like, oh no, I can't call me selfish. I've got to do like everything the opposite of what would work for me and what would be kind to me and what I really desire and require to do for me. I've got to do the opposite of that and do what they say because they called me selfish. Fabulous manipulation from them. Not really working out for me. So ask yourself questions, if you know, around selfishness, because I mean, even the the words, and what's wrong with being fucking selfish? Excuse me, but you know, sometimes if you can't look after yourself, then you know, and yes, there may be other things to take into consideration, and yes, you know, be in your awareness of what creates the most. And sometimes we have to do stuff that we don't want to do, because it's going to create more for us and everyone in the long run. And you know, so go with what you know, go with your awareness, and don't allow other people to use the accusation of selfish as a manipulation on you. So, because sometimes self-kindness means saying no, means saying no to people, and means saying no to things. And I'm not talking about self-preservation. I'm talking about self-kindness. So be in the question. What is, you know, what would create the most here? Is this being kind to me? Is this being selfish? If I choose this, what will my life be like in 20 years? And get the energy of that. And then if I don't choose this, what will my life be like in 20 years? And then get the energy of that. So there's some tools that you can use to assist you in, you know, the difference between selfish and self-kindness, and what would work best for you. Especially in the, you know, sometimes things, it feels like something's going to work in the now, but actually it's not being kind to you in the long run. So there's some things. So 3 key ways to power up self-kindness. So they're fabulous questions, and I've given so many tools already. I won't keep hammering home this, but one of the questions is, what is my reality with self-kindness, and where do I find it? And I don't know if you can hear the children outside in the street outside, but they're like, woo, playing outside. So yeah, what is my reality with self-kindness, and where do I find it? So that's a question to bring up the energy and invite in the energy of, okay, so what is my reality with self-kindness, and where do I find it? And just keep asking that, and allow the subtleties of awareness, allow the energies, the subtleties of energy to be the light feather touch. You're like, oh, there it is. And keep asking it, and allow yourself to become more and more aware of what your reality with self-kindness is, and where you find it. So that's number 1 of 3. And the second one is universe. Show me, what does kindness for me look like? The universe has your back. The universe wants to contribute to you. The universe it loves to contribute to you. So ask it. Ask it. Universe, show me, what is kindness for me? What does kindness for me look like? And then allow yourself, again, allow yourself to notice. So if you see, you know, often it's coming out of habitual, what they're called, automatic responses. So for instance, if you're, you know, your habitual response would be, you know, someone offers to pay for your coffee or something. You're like, no, I'll pay for it. No, don't worry. I'll do it. What is kindness for me? So maybe accepting someone's offer to pay for your coffee, maybe that's kindness for you. Universe, show me, what is kindness for me? And where do I find it? So just notice, notice, and don't make yourself wrong. If you went into, someone went to pay for your coffee, you're like, no, I'll be fine, I'll get this, and then afterwards you're like, oh, that was kindness. That if I'd accepted that might have been kindness for me. Don't make yourself wrong if you just said no and did. Just, you're noticing it. That is the first step to changing it. That is getting the knack of being kind to you, of self-kindness, noticing, acknowledging, and choosing. Getting the knack of self-kindness. How does it get any better than that? And the last one is receiving kindness from and for you. So what is receiving kindness from and for you? So all the barriers that's brought up. Oh no, I can't receive kindness. So everything that brings up and lets down, really destroy and uncreate all of that times a godzillion. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So one way to receive, even if you're really resistant to receiving kindness for you, which seems to be the energy that's coming up, and if you're like, no, I can receive kindness for me and from me, then great, go for it. Absolutely expand out and receive, because the more that you're willing and able, the more that you are willing to receive the kindness, the more that you have to gift that kindness, the more you're willing to receive the kindness of you. Would you be willing, truth, would you be willing to receive yourself as a kind person? Oh, and everything that brings up and lets down, destroy and uncreate at all times a godzillion. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So what percentage of receiving yourself as a kind person would you be willing to receive? So more than 10%? No, less than 10%? 10%, I think. Let's go with 10%. So go with whatever works for you. If you're like, no, 90%, 100%, great, go for it. So allow yourself to receive as much kindness of and for you, as receive yourself as kindness, as much as you're willing to receive yourself now. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And that percentage could change. You might open up to being willing to receive yourself as kindness more and more and more. And if you're not, that's okay as well. So this is a practice. This is a try out something new, and like a new habit. Don't make yourself wrong. Like learning a new language, you're gonna trip up here and there. Don't try and get self-kindness right. And don't make yourself wrong if you don't get it instantly in every moment, in every situation. Just play with it. What fun could you have with being kind to you? Yeah, so, and receiving kindness for you. That's what I wanted to say. So every time you notice kindness, every time, whether it's, from somebody being kind to you, or you notice someone in the street being kind to someone else, like maybe they've opened the door for somebody and they've allowed them to walk through first, or whatever that kindness is, no matter how small or how big or whatever that kindness is, just when you notice that energy of kindness, and the energy of kindness could even be just being a smile. So when you notice that, include yourself in that. Allow yourself to be included in that kindness. So say you see, so I've got the energy of a grandparent gifting something to their grandchild. That's that in a real energy of kindness. So even though that you don't know that say it's something you've seen in the street, you just, in noticing that energy of kindness, you are it. You recognize the energy, the energies you recognize. You recognize the energy of kindness because you are that in yourself. If you didn't have that energy of kindness in yourself as yourself, then you would not see it. So when you notice that grandparent being that kindness in that grandparent and that child, then include yourself in that energy of kindness. And that's one way to start to build up your receiving of kindness for you. Include yourself. Anywhere you see the energy or perceive the energy of kindness, include yourself in that energy of kindness, and allow yourself to open up to that energy of kindness more and more and more. Thank you. Thank you. And I would love you to report back and let me know how it goes for you. You know, whether that's in next week's comments, or just come back next week and put the comments in this post. I would love to know how kindness for you, self-kindness, is playing out for you, and how you're getting on with it. If you have any questions or any situations where, like, I tried this and it went like this, or I tried this and it went like, ugh, you come back and let me know. I would love it. So thank you so much for joining me on the Choosing for Today show today. And next week next week I'll be doing another topic. And if you have any topics that you would love me to cover, then please put them in the comments. I would love to address whatever you would like me to. So yeah, look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.